What if the most powerful thing you could do every morning wasn't hustling harder, planning faster, or fixing yourself, but simply remembering that you're alive? What if before the world touched you, before the noise, before the pressure, you chose your inner state on purpose? The Stoic philosophers understood something we've forgotten. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That single idea is the foundation of everything that follows, because gratitude isn't just a feel-good mindset. It's a discipline, a weapon, a form of strength. Most people wake up and immediately disappear. Their bodies rise, but their minds scatter. Notifications, messages, deadlines, expectations before they've even returned to themselves. They're already reacting. They're already behind. Already tense, already anxious. And the truth is simple but uncomfortable. If you don't direct your attention first thing in the morning, the world will do it for you. Carl Jung warned us about this when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's exactly what happens when we wake up on autopilot. We let old fears, unfinished conversations, and imagined futures hijack our inner world. We confuse stress with responsibility. We mistake noise for meaning. But gratitude interrupts that pattern. It pulls you out of your head and into the present moment. It anchors you before the storm begins. Because most of our suffering doesn't come from what is happening, it comes from what we're retelling ourselves about what is happening. And the morning is when that story is most fragile, most impressionable. Think about how rare this moment really is. You woke up, your heart is beating, your lungs are working. You've been handed another day you were never promised. And yet how often do we treat that like nothing? We complain, we compare, we rush, we coast. Until one unexpected moment, a diagnosis, an accident, a loss forces us to remember how fragile this whole thing really is. When you truly understand that nothing is guaranteed, gratitude stops being a ritual and becomes a survival mindset. Not because life is perfect, but because it's present. So when you wake up, take 3 slow breaths. Place your hand on your chest if you need to reconnect with your body, and say it quietly or out loud. I'm grateful to be here. Not to perform, not to impress, just to be. Kos, to be. Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." But maybe part of that examination isn't just asking deeper questions. Maybe it's practicing deeper presence. You don't need a perfect journal or a flawless meditation routine. You need one clean thought. This moment is enough. From that seed of enoughness, something powerful grows. You become less dependent on chaos to feel alive. You move through your day with a quieter kind of strength, a kind rooted in stillness, not speed. There's a massive difference between starting the day from pressure and starting it from purpose. One feels like drowning. The other feels like clarity. When you wake up with gratitude, you stop chasing peace all day because you've already started with it. It's like tuning an inner frequency. When you're tuned to appreciation, the things that usually irritate you, traffic delays, interruptions, lose their grip. You're no longer reacting from lack. You're responding from wholeness. Aristotle touched on this when he said that happiness depends upon ourselves. Not in a selfish way, but in the sense that your inner posture shapes your experience of the world. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the first few moments after you wake up. Most people reach for their phones before they take a breath. They feed their minds stress before they feed them awareness. But those quiet seconds between sleep and action are where your mind is most open, most vulnerable. What you feed it there either strengthens your core or lets chaos in. If you're waking up stressed, overwhelmed, or lost in the noise, you're not broken. You're just and that's where Stoicism enters, not as a dusty philosophy, but as a daily tool. The Stoics believed that how you begin your day is how you train your soul, because the world has its own agenda, and it's loud. So if you're tired of starting your mornings already behind, if you're done letting yesterday's problems or tomorrow's anxiety own today, start here. Before anything else, pause and say, I'm grateful to be here. Not because life is easy, but because it's real. Because you're still in the game. You still have time to evolve, to repair, to risk, to live honestly. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we don't need ideal circumstances to feel fulfilled. Gratitude puts you back in control. It tells your nervous system, I don't need everything figured out to be okay. That's emotional resilience. That's maturity. That's becoming someone the world can't easily shake. Psychology confirms this. Gratitude practices rewire the brain for long-term well-being. People who practice daily gratitude sleep better, feel more optimistic, and cope more effectively, not because their lives are easier, but because their focus is different. A grateful mind isn't passive. It's powerful. It sharpens your decisions, steadies your reactions, and grounds your identity. Before your day gets hijacked by obligation and overwhelm, own those first few seconds with presence. I'm grateful to be here. That single sentence can recalibrate your entire system. Because gratitude isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing where you stand before the world pushes you somewhere else. And that's where real living begins. What if the reason you wake up exhausted has nothing to do with sleep and everything to do with what you refuse to let go of? What if every morning you're carrying weight that no longer belongs to today? So many people wake up already tired, not because their bodies didn't rest, but because their minds never stopped. Yesterday is still looping. The awkward conversation, the mistake, the thing they wish they'd said differently. It plays on repeat, like a song they can't turn off. And without realizing it, they drag all of that into a brand new day. It's like trying to run a race while carrying yesterday's suitcase. Eventually, you're going to trip. We carry far too much from the past hour regrets, other people's moods, judgments, expectations. We let the shadow of what was follow us into what could be. But here's what most people forget. You're not meant to relive yesterday. You're meant to learn from it and then leave it where it belongs. That's the real test, not perfection. Release. Start your morning by reminding yourself, yesterday doesn't own me. Say it like you mean it, because it draws a boundary between what happened and what you're choosing now. And that boundary is freedom. Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Yesterday may explain your pain, but it doesn't get to define your path. You decide what story you're telling today. Shame or strength. Stagnation or growth. The Stoics were clear about this. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Yesterday might have been a mess. Okay, but are you going to live there forever? Or are you going to move forward sharper and wiser? Every day is a fresh page, but if you keep scribbling yesterday's story on it, you'd never write anything new. Letting go isn't weakness. It's emotional discipline. Try this. Before you get out of bed, imagine all your regrets and worries as stones in a backpack. Visualize taking it off and letting it hit the floor. Feel the relief. Your nervous system understands symbols. When you let go, mentally and physically, your body gets the message. We're safe. We're starting clean. Aristotle taught that habit forms character. So make release a habit, not a one-time thing, but a daily practice. The more you practice letting go, the faster you recover, the quicker you forgive, the lighter you move. This isn't about denial. It's about direction. Yesterday had its chance. Today is yours. Say it again. Yesterday doesn't own me. That's not avoidance. That's strength. There's something remarkable about people who enter a room and bring calm with them. You've met them. Those rare individuals whose presence feels grounded, settled, unshakable. They don't dominate conversations or demand attention, yet somehow you feel safer, more at ease, more yourself when they're around. And if you've ever wondered what creates that magnetic quality, I can tell you, it's not charisma or confidence tricks or some secret social formula. It's kindness, real, genuine, rooted in strength. Kindness. And that's your fourth morning declaration. Kindness is my superpower. Now, before you dismiss this as soft or naive, understand that the Stoics didn't view kindness as weakness. Marcus Aurelius, who commanded armies and ruled an empire, wrote that kindness is invincible if it's sincere, with no fawning or pretending. What can even the most malicious person do if you keep treating them with genuine kindness while remaining firm in your boundaries? That's the balance. The Stoics understood. Gentle, but not fragile. Soft-spoken, but not silent. Compassionate, but not pushover. In our modern culture, we often mistake harshness for strength, as if being cold or detached somehow proves you're powerful. But here's what Stoicism actually teaches. The strongest person isn't the one who controls others. It's the one who controls themselves. Kindness is self-mastery. It means you've developed enough awareness to pause before reacting, enough humility to listen before judging, enough courage to extend grace, even when it isn't convenient or deserved. Zhang observed that knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. We all carry our own storms, our insecurities, our pain, our fears. And when we encounter darkness in others, their anger, their defensiveness, their cruelty, we're often just seeing their version of what we ourselves struggle with. Kindness bridges that gap. It is choosing to see the humanity in people, even when it is buried under layers of protection and pain. Start your day with this mindset, and watch what shifts. You'll speak softer, not because you're weak, but because you don't need to shout to be heard. You'll react slower, not because you're indifferent, but because you value peace more than being right. You'll lead with patience, not because you don't care, but because you understand that transformation takes time. Yours and everyone else's. Socrates said it perfectly. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. And he wasn't being poetic, he was being realistic. Most of the Pain People project has nothing to do with you. It's their own unresolved history, their own wounds, their own fears, manifesting as anger or coldness or passive aggression. When you operate from that awareness, you stop taking things so personally. You start seeing beyond the surface. That rude comment, usually fear. That passive aggression, often insecurity. That cold silence, probably pain. Kindness doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but it does mean responding with clarity instead of ego. Here's something practical you can do right now. Visualize one kind action you'll take today. Maybe it's genuinely listening when someone speaks, instead of waiting for your turn to talk. Maybe it's sending a message to someone who's been on your mind. Maybe it's offering a sincere compliment to someone who seems down. The size doesn't matter. What matters is the intention. That one act might be the only good thing someone experiences today. And the remarkable part, it will probably do more for you than it does for them, because every kind action reinforces your identity as someone who leads with intention rather than impulse. Plato believed that excellence is a habit, and so is kindness. It's not about waiting until you're in a perfect mood or until someone deserves it. It's about choosing who you want to be deliberately, practicing it consistently, repeating it until it becomes your nature. And when it becomes your nature, your presence changes. You stop entering rooms trying to extract value and start showing up to offer it. That's a completely different kind of power, deeper and more sustainable than any performance could ever be. But kindness alone, while transformative, isn't complete without the fifth and final truth. This moment is all I have, so I'm going to enjoy it. This isn't some carpe diem cliché or YOLO philosophy. This is the Stoic practice of memento mori, the daily reminder of mortality, meant not to depress you, but to wake you up to the preciousness of now. Have you ever blinked and realized an entire week disappeared? Not in a beautiful, time flies way, but in a disorienting, where did it go way? You were just starting Monday morning, and suddenly it's Friday evening and you barely remember what happened in between. That's modern life, for most of us. Fast, fragmented, forgettable. We're so busy reacting to what's next that we completely miss what's now. The Stoics understood something that modern neuroscience is confirming. Most of our suffering exists in past regrets or future anxieties. The present moment, the actual reality of right now, is usually manageable. It's our minds that make it unbearable by dragging in yesterday's failures and tomorrow's fears. Jung noted that the ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness, and it makes perfect sense. Anxiety lives in the future. Sorrow lives in the past. The present is where your feet actually are, where breath exists, where power resides. Plato called time the moving image of eternity. And that hits differently when you consider how little of it we actually inhabit. We're physically present, but mentally absent. Scrolling through our phones, while life happens around us. We miss the morning light streaming through the window, the taste of coffee, the way the air changes before rain. These small moments that most people overlook are actually everything. Their life itself happening right now while we're mentally somewhere else. So practice saying it. This moment is all I have, so I'm going to enjoy it. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not after you achieve your goals. Now. This conversation where someone is actually listening. This meal you're eating. This breath you're taking. Life isn't waiting to start. It's happening right now. And if you're not fully present for it, you're not just missing time. You're missing your life. Aristotle talked about eudaimonia, the concept of human flourishing, of living a genuinely good life. He didn't tie it to achievement or accumulation. He tied it to virtue and action, to how you show up in each moment with integrity, awareness, and intention. Enjoying the present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means learning to fully experience whatever moment you're in, even the difficult ones. The Stoics call this inner stillness ataraxia, a serene calm that external chaos can't shake. And one of the fastest paths to that calm is simply slowing down and noticing where you are. Whether you're brushing your teeth or walking to your car or talking with a friend, be there completely. Seneca wrote that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not just surviving, but actually enjoying. And enjoyment doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be found in stillness, in quiet appreciation, in the pause between things. Try this right now. Take one deep breath. Feel it travel through your chest. Notice where your feet are. Notice what you hear, what you smell, what you're touching. Be where you are, not where you think you should be. Presence is power because it brings you back to yourself, not the performing version of you, not the version that's planning or regretting, just you, here, now. Socrates once asked how your travels could do you any good when you carry yourself around with you. The truth is, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If you can't be present, nothing will satisfy you. Not success, not relationships, not escape. That's why presence isn't optional. It's essential. You want more fulfillment, more peace, more connection. It doesn't come from doing more. It comes from noticing more, from paying attention, from choosing to enjoy the small things while they're actually happening instead of wishing later that you had. This moment you're in right now is already slipping away. Not dramatically, just quietly, the way all moments do. So hold it a little longer. Appreciate it a little deeper. Remind yourself often that everything is temporary, so you will cherish what's here while it's here. That mindset doesn't just slow time down. It makes time richer, fuller, more meaningful. And gradually you realize this moment was never small at all. It was everything. You just needed to notice it. These 5 phrases, these 5 anchors, aren't magic. They're not going to instantly solve all your problems or make your life perfect, but practiced consistently, spoken to yourself in those vulnerable morning moments when your mind is most receptive, they will gradually reshape how you meet each day. You'll start from gratitude instead of lack. You'll release yesterday instead of dragging it forward. You'll claim your mind instead of being claimed by it. You'll lead with kindness instead of ego. And you'll inhabit the present instead of missing it. The Stoics weren't trying to create perfect people. They were trying to create aware people, resilient people, people who could face life's inevitable challenges without being destroyed by them. And it all begins with how you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. In those quiet morning moments before the world starts making its demands. That's when you set your frequency. That's when you choose who you'll be today. Make it intentional. Make it powerful. Make it yours.